Cast in 9 language services: English, French, German, Dutch, Spanish, Arabic, Mandarin, Japanese, and Indonesian. Voice of Indonesia is broadcast via shortwave 3325 kHz and 4755 kHz and via streaming on voanews.id and RRI Digital on mobile application. We present various programs for you: Diplomatic Forum, The Session, Indonesian Wonder, Miscellany, Let's Speak Bahasa Indonesia, Indonesian pop and regional songs, international musical entertainment, as well as news and information about Indonesia and abroad. Voice of Indonesia, from Indonesia to the world.
Hello, Voice listener and RRINet viewers. Welcome back to VOI Talk with me, Ray, in collaboration with the Overseas Indonesian Students Association Alliance in America, Europe. And today, Voice listener, AI is being used in many areas of our daily lives, including in public policy, where it is helping the governments improve decision-making and public services. To talk more about AI public policy, we are joined today by our special guest, Alifah Farhana, an Indonesian student at Copenhagen University in Denmark. How are you, Alifah?
Hi, can you hear my voice pretty well?
Yes, I can hear your voice clearly.
Okay, thank you. I'm great, actually. This is finally summer here, so get over all the winter. So I think I'm pretty good now.
Yes, we are approaching summer, right?
Yes.
Especially during this time of the year. So, without any further ado, since we are talking about AI first, I want to ask you, Alifah, how do you define the use of AI in public policy making? Can you explain it to us?
Okay, so I think before that is we need to actually talk about what exactly is AI, because like AI everywhere. I think for the AI itself, I think we know that AI stands for artificial intelligence, but what exactly AI? So I think the first thing that came up in our mind when we talk about AI is like, okay, I will ask something to ChatGPT. So it's actually, that's something that I use AI. But at least for this conversation, I think it's important we have like the same understanding about AI. So AI is actually not only ChatGPT, because like ChatGPT is just one of the models that is produced by AI itself. So I think you can go search about the definition of AI, but in short, I will say that AI itself is like an architectures. So it contains models and techniques. So what is like the purpose of we try to create the AI? So because it's artificial intelligence, so the human behind that try to make a models, a techniques that basically teach the machine or the computer in order to understand a human task. And then when they can understand human text, so they actually can understand a very complex situation, and they can make a decision to actually help a human. So in that case, I won't go into like a very practical thingy, but when we talk about the AI, so we have to mention a lot of like some of the models like machine learning, supervised, unsupervised, deep learning, or neural network. So that's actually something that the definition of the AI itself, or at least something that we call AI. So in one hand, we have a very complicated model that we try to teach the computer to understand the complex situation, and then they can make a decision of the complex situation. And in one hand, we have public policy. And in short, we can understand public policy by actually a framework that contains regulation, law, basically the framework that actually can be implemented for the society. So it can be like NGO, we have a government, something like that. So in one hand, we have like AI that can understand the complexity that we can model them. And on one hand, we have like public policy. So in my own word, actually, AI in public policy is how we exactly understand or how we actually combine this complexity for the AI that we can model them to understand the public policy. And we hope that we can do it and we can use it for the good service. So that's basically it.
Okay, thank you, Alifah. That was really interesting. So, in what way actually can AI, help the government make a more effective and efficient policy? Isn't there like a special division for that as well? Is it good if we use AI to help make it a better reason for the government to create a more effective and efficient policy?
All right. Yeah, I mean, like if we talk about effective and efficient, we should choose what kind of perspective, what side that we will talk about efficient and effective. Okay, because AI itself is new technology. It will create not only something in the positive beneficial, but also negative impact. Okay, but I think for this conversation, I will try to limit the public policy AI for the implemented in the public policy in Indonesia context. So we actually can have like a better idea for that. So how we exactly can maximize AI in public policy in Indonesia context? So first of all, I will say Indonesia is very big countries. Okay, we know that not only big as a matter of the population, but very scattered. Okay, from the Papua and the Aceh. So because before that, I also like work in a public policy and research. I will say that because also like Indonesia have decentralization system. So AI actually can help using the model that I mentioned before. For example, we actually can make a good predictions because we are a very big country, right? And then the central government in this case should monitor all the districts and provinces. So can you imagine that AI can help at least we have the better prediction and then or better calculation or analytical thingy that can be implemented, not implemented, but we can see the patterns for all the initiative of the Indian national program, for example. So if we can create a good models, for example, if central government in this case want to implement national programs to all of provinces and districts in Indonesia, which is 38 provinces and 514 districts, right? 514 kabupaten. So basically, it is important actually for the central government know how to monitor that program, know the consequences of the national programs. So AI with the supervised or unsupervised machine learning or deep learning itself, it actually can help for us to mitigate what kind of the risk, what kind of the mitigation that we can anticipate. So that's kind of the positive way that public policy can take from the AI itself.
So, in an ethical way to use AI, concern rises in using AI for public policy. So, can you tell us what risks and challenges in using AI for public policy itself? Is there like a challenge that we should overcome, or maybe like step over it so that people can feel safer in using the AI for public policy, especially for the government? Alifah.
Okay. Well, it's a very huge conversation about the risks of the AI, but I think before we jump into in a specific in a public policy context, I think I will just a little bit talk in general about the risks of the AI. So I think something that we have to understand that AI is built by human, basically. So it's not like miracle pop up into our life that and then we can just use it. No. So it comes with the consequences. It comes with the risk, even if it's not used in the public policy context, even in our daily lives. So one thing, it actually a risk of using AI is actually, I think everyone actually understand this, like the model itself, because it's built by human, it has hallucinating consequences, right? For example, if you ask ChatGPT whatever, but I think it's ChatGPT right now, it's like improving, but they tend to agree for whatever we want to ask. So like 2 years ago, when the ChatGPT is still in the in like at the ChatGPT 2 or ChatGPT 3, it has we have like a lot of cases when you ask something very negative about your life and they tend to agree with you. So or if you like ask, oh, should I just jump into the river, for example, and then ChatGPT will say, okay, do it. So there's actually one risk that we have to anticipate, because the model is built by humans, so the hallucinating, it's something that part of the consequences of risk of this of the AI itself. So that's in general. But in a public policy, I guess one of the risks that we have to anticipate is if we just do AI work themselves. So, for example, one case in Europe is in French and also in Netherlands. So they try to collaborate. So they try to build a model to make or to determine in a public policy context is to determine social beneficiaries atau penerima manfaat. So they try to make a model for the AI to actually, okay, this kind of people that eligible to get social assistance, and this kind of people that actually not eligible to get a social assistance. So the first layer they try to implement through AI. So the response is very in Amsterdam and in Netherlands and in French is pretty what can I say? It's like a little bit challenging, because people will see it's kind of like a bias. They think that government only like only task AI to do their job. So, but actually what is happening is not like the government just lead AI to do their job. It's not like that. But because we have like a very big data, so actually AI can help at least for the first layer. So we don't have to go one by one in every household actually to ask, okay, whether or not that you're eligible to get a social assistance. But AI actually can, with the machine learning, they can help the government to at least have the list of the social beneficiaries eligibility. Okay. But then, of course, human involvement should be there. So, for example, after the result of the social beneficiaries is came up, so I think the government itself has the responsibility to check in person whether or not the result from the machine learning itself is true. So in a way that it can help, but human involvement for the public policy is also important. So let's double check. Is it like the machine can produce the grade, or like the for the model is actually fitting or not? So there's a risk. There definitely is, but we can anticipate that if we still involve the human to implement it along with all the policy implementation.
Okay, now we have some questions from two of our viewers. I'm going to read one at a time for you, Alifah.
Okay.
You said that there are human involvement in using the AI, especially in policy. What role should public participation play in AI policy making? It's actually for the public participation, not the government, but for the public participation.
Okay. Well, there is like AI in public policy is a very broad area. So I think I will make a product example. When we try to train the models in AI, because we have to train the model, it's important to actually involve the expertise to actually understand the context, because machine cannot understand the context pretty well. So that's why the expertise actually should be collaborated together with data scientists in this way, actually to give the context for the machine. So from the very beginning, from the model creators, we actually have to involve the expertise. So that's the first thing. And the second one is when we already implement the AI in every field in public policy, human involvement should be there actually to check whether or not this is something we want. For example, like for the bantuan sosial, for example, we want to say, okay, is it these people eligible or not? So it still have like a human involvement to check in person whether or not the result is true from the machine learning. So things like that, for example.
Okay, now moving on to the other question from one of the viewers that is currently watching. We have Nugraha Akbar. He asked, what lessons from Europe or Denmark approach to AI regulation that are most relevant for Indonesia? And what would be the biggest challenge in applying them here in Indonesia?
Right. Okay, so one thing when we talk about AI is we talk about data regulation. In Europe, in general, not only in Denmark, we have GDPR, and then also European AU. In this case, we have also. I think I'm not sure is whether or not it's implemented right now or not, but I think they already think, because that I read like the draft of that. So AI Act. So because GDPR, it's concerned from the data protections, and also how we actually can not limit, but try to make our data protected by the regulation. And then I think also something that we can take from the European context is like, because AI, one of the impact of the AI is actually layoff for like from the industry, right? Because like many industries shifting from the manual worker to the AI worker. So this kind of thingy, they try to anticipate by also give them social protection from the worker. So I think that those three things that something we can learn from the European context in general and in Denmark also, that that hopefully we can implement that in Indonesia.
Okay, now, thank you so much, Alifah, for your answers. And also thank you to all of our viewers who are currently watching, and Tommy Weka for giving us the thumbs up while watching the stream right now. And so, for listener, that was the interesting topic that we are discussing about today, and thank you for joining us, and thank you so much, Alifah, for giving us your informational insight in today's topic. And so, for listener, as AI continues to evolve, thoughtful policy making will be essential, and to ensure that its benefits are shared broadly and responsibly, we need to make sure that the use of AI itself is being monitored so that it can use the guidelines for our country as well. And thank you so much for listener for accompanying me in this special interview in VRI Talk. My name is Ray, and stay tuned with us in Voice of Indonesia for more interesting interviews like this, only on Voice of Indonesia, from Indonesia to the world.
Music, dance, art performances from Indonesia and abroad, only on The Session. Every Saturday, 9:15 Jakarta time, only on Voice of Indonesia.
For listener, after this, we will watch a special interview with Soccer Fiesta with the Embassy of Ecuador, only on Voice of Indonesia. And stay tuned and enjoy the spirit of the World Cup.
RRI listener, welcome back again in Soccer Fiesta. And now I have the ambassador of Ecuador to Indonesia, and his name is Luis Ariano Hibaha. Did I say your name right?
Right.
Okay.
Perfect. Perfect.
Okay, how are you? How are you, Mr. Ambassador?
I'm 60 years old.
And you are 60 years old and you are okay.
Excellent.
Okay.
In Indonesia, excellent right now.
Excellent. All right. And of course, as we all know, Ecuador has entering the next stage in football. We have talked earlier that how close is football to the people of Ecuador? And you said you got a 40 years in process. Can you explain that?
Yeah, listen, first, thank you to Voice of Indonesia for this invitation in order to explain about the football in my country, of how in some